Hey guys, it's Marie Reggie from Keller Williams Coastal Properties in Long Beach, California. I just wanted to pop on to kind of share something with you that happened to me yesterday that raised my red flags, and I wanted to sort of do a buyer beware message here. So you guys have all been hearing about how the rates have really dropped. So first of all, know that mortgage rates are not the same thing as when you hear about the federal rates going down. I can post an article about that, but they're slightly different. They work on different criteria. But that being said, last week you probably heard there was some super crazy 50-year all-time low rates. People were seeing around 3, even below 3. So there was this mad rush to get refis done, to get purchase money in. And it lasted, I don't know, a few days. And then I think it was Tuesday, the rates ended up jumping back up in a percentage that we haven't seen in quite a few years. So there's a few straggler lenders out there. You can still get some low rates, but what I really wanted to let you know and be aware of is that when you're calling around and you're asking about these rates, here's what happened to me yesterday. I decided to make myself the guinea pig, and I called Quicken because there's a pretty well-known, mass consumer one. And I said, what's your range? And she said, oh, like a little under 3 to 5, depending. I go, okay. So I went through the process with them, and I currently have a 3.875. And at the end, she said, well, do you want to lower your rate or do you want to lower your payment? And I'm like, well, both. That's why I'd be doing this. She said, well, I can get you a 3.0. I'm like, yay, that's awesome. And she said, but your payment will go up. I'm like, how is that possible? She said, well, because the closing costs will be $19,000. $19,000. Now, let's explain what closing costs are. That would be, and this is normal, you'd have your, here in California, we have title and escrow costs. You'll have an appraiser cost, usually $500-ish. Then depending on when you close, you have what's called prepaids. So they prorate what your property taxes are, what your home insurance is. All that's pretty standard. That's usually about a point, 1 percentage point of the loan. And then there's lender costs. Well, for many years, we've seen pretty much 0 point lender costs. So this would have been 2.5 if I calculated it correctly. So and that made me be like, well, gosh, like how many people don't realize this and they just hear 3% and they're all excited. So what I wanted you to be aware of as you're shopping for rates, whether it's refi or purchase, that you want to make sure you're not only asking the questions about how much is my rate, but you want to find out what your closing costs are going to be. And you want to have the whole picture, because you might have a high rate where your payment could still drop, but it could still drop even further if you took out the fact that you're paying ridiculous rates on that. And the reason they're doing that, by the way, is because they had to slow down the amount of influx of business that came their way. That's one of the reasons. So, I mean, lenders, they were just swamped, and they're still trying to play catch up. So it's a way for them to sort of slow down the pipeline. But if you don't know, and one of the things, if you know me well, that makes me crazy is if I feel like people are being taken advantage of. So that's why I wanted to pop on here and let you guys know that, and let you know, your friends, that they're aware too when they're shopping. And I have a tremendous amount of fantastic lenders I work with. I'm happy to give you a ton of names. I'll also post an article that explains really clearly about the difference between rates dropping for Fed versus rates dropping for mortgages. But just to kind of do a little public service thing here, that when you're shopping, just ask all the right questions and get your back end costs as well. If you have any questions, give me a call, and I guess we're all hunkering down for a while, so I guess we'll be seeing each other online. Call me if you need anything. Take care.